Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to welcome you today to our 8th podcast episode of today's Top Tech Leaders. The goal of this podcast is to share insights and knowledge of top CTOs and CPOs on their leadership and what they've learned throughout their journey. We'll cover, as always, management tips and tricks, organizational structures, tools, and best practices on how to successfully lead your product team. Our goal is to bring valuable insights to managers in product from all seniorities. I myself am Marc Clemens, founder and CEO of CodeControl 9M, and for today's podcast, I'm very thrilled to have Gonzalo Rubio as a guest. Hi Gonzalo.
Hello, Marc.
So, Gonzalo is a CTO and co-founder at Cakewalk, truly passionate about building cutting-edge software that solves complex technical challenges by automating workflows. And I think he will talk a bit more about Cakeflow in a sec.
Yep.
So, Cakewalk, sorry.
No worries.
He has a background in regulated environments, fintech that require engineering to comply with the highest security and compliance standards. So, really excited to have you here, Gonzalo. Thanks a lot for joining us.
Sure.
And I would say before we get started, the audience definitely wants to hear a bit about yourself, where you're from, and what is it that you're working on with Cakewalk?
Okay, amazing. Okay, so yeah, I'm from Spain. I'm based in Madrid right now. I've been working on IT for about 11, 12 years. And the last 6-7 months, I've been in this super nice adventure that is Cakewalk. Working as you mentioned, as co-founder and CTO and responsible of everything that has to do with something to do with development computers or, I don't know, IT in general. And about Cakewalk, Cakewalk enables easy identity and access management for companies. We created an easy way to run employees' access to apps, but still keeping control for IT and security teams. And the key features of our solution so far are the discovery to detect which apps are used by every single employee in the organization, access flows, which are super easy to use to request access to applications, see the catalog of the company, etc., etc. Onboarding and offboarding automated flows to make sure, for instance, that if you are going to offboard an employee, all the seats in all the applications are removed properly and they are not still like unexpected accesses. That is something quite common in many companies. And also compliance reports where you can see who has access to what, who and when approve each access, etc. So anything you may need for, I don't know, for instance, an ICO certification related to this topic. So this is, in a nutshell, this is Cakewalk.
Very nice. And I mean, you have a very interesting profile and have done a lot of different steps along your career. And I think previously you were at Clio, also a lot of people in the startup scene know probably. How would you describe your career?
So to describe my career, I would say that one is learning. I had the chance to learn a lot in every single position. And for me, it's really important to, when I stay in a company, that I feel that I still have the opportunity to learn new things and to, I don't know, to deal with new problems all the time. If you feel that all the days are the same thing, then maybe it's the moment to make a change, right? Also, I think that I was really, really lucky because I always had the chance to work in places with really nice managers, with a really nice environment where everybody is pushing. That is something that I guess that, I mean, of course, you have to select the places where you go, but you don't have all the information. But I was really lucky because I feel that I never had the feeling of joining to a company and saying like, okay, no, this is not my place. So it's this really nice. And also, I guess that feel okay with leaving your comfort area. So whenever you have the chance to do something that is not what you usually do, just go for it and try, because you find out that there are other things that you like and that can make your life even better.
Really nice. And I guess somehow this is also how you ended up at Cakewalk and starting that company.
Exactly.
Really, really interesting. And super happy to hear. It sounds like a very nice and joyful career. I'm sure you had some tough moments as well, but generally it sounds very good.
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
so today we want to talk a bit about scaling a team. And when we prepped, we discussed that this might be really interesting because you are with Cakewalk exactly in this phase. If I remember right, you closed the financing round. I'm not sure if it's public how much, but
Yeah,
a
about
very
3
nice.
million. Yeah.
Okay, 3 million euro financing round. It's a really nice financing round, but it comes certainly also a bit of pressure. At the same time, you're not at a size where you can scale the team enormously, so you have the sweet spot in between, right? So we said we want to talk a bit about that. And before we go into this, what would interest me is a bit how has it changed for yourself to become a CTO from being a senior developer before? Um, what,
Mhm.
what is it? What is it a significant career change, or is it just something that happens and you're like, oh, now I'm a CTO?
Well, I think that it's not from one day to another. So I started my career as a senior engineer and I was working as a developer for many, many years. And then I had the opportunity to take more responsibilities and try some management responsibilities that are quite different. And get new learnings and new experiences step by step. I was working as director of engineering, for instance, at TrustU, where I still were really connected to the development side, but more from a management perspective. So then jumping into the CTO role in Cakewalk is not a huge difference regarding this experience. And it's still a combination of both. So really, really close because we are still a small team. So I'm really, really close to the development. I'm also coding whenever I have the time and the opportunity. And I want actually to code a bit in absolutely everywhere because I think that it's important that I have like a good understanding of what we are doing and to have discussions with the rest of the team to know which are the pains and you have to put your hands into the code, I guess. But at the same time, I'm doing all the management and organization stuff, which is also really nice, especially when you are creating something from scratch. So you are defining the culture of the team and how everything is going to work for the next years, like setting up the foundations.
Very interesting. So it is a massive step, as in management becomes a big part, and on top you have organizational and admin topics. But staying close to coding is really core for you, especially at the size you're right now, right?
Exactly. I think that is really, really important.
That brings me to my next question. I mean, you can code, you started a company. How do you choose the first people, and who are the people that you would code with? Who are the people that you start a company with?
Okay, in this case, I think that I was also really lucky because I was able to bring people that I know and people who know each other and they already have experience working together because actually this speeds up the things a lot at the very beginning. At the end, they already have when you are setting a new, for instance, in a company, you create a new team from scratch and you have to hire people. It takes a while till everything works fine, and the way of communicating, the way of collaborating, especially being remote, is sometimes a bit tricky. In this case, we use our network, and this is always like super nice because there is really good understanding, and we could be productive from the very first day. It's true that probably you are not developing features so fast because you also need to write the foundation of the code, but we already know what we wanted. So it's not a lot of research, not a lot of having discussions. It's like going directly to the point. So actually, I think that this is super nice for the first step.
And these are all senior people or any junior people as well?
No, right now it's senior people, and I would say that for the very beginning it's important the seniority because if you want to move fast, people needs to be able to to take decisions, and for that you need seniority. I guess that I really love the idea of bringing junior people, and I think that both are important. When you are growing, right? You need to bring junior people and help them to grow and have this spirit and this energy that the younger people and with less experience but eager to learn have. That is super nice. And also it's an opportunity for other developers to grow as well, coaching them and helping them to grow. But at the same time, I think that you should also bring senior people with different ideas that also challenge your status quo. So yeah, I think that it's important to start only with senior and then open it to junior and have a bit of both.
Okay, interesting. Yes. Do you ever have the feeling that you end up over-engineering because you're too many senior people?
Well, it's a risk. If you don't have like super clear goals, then it's just a matter of trying to do the most nice technical thing you can think of. Of course, you can over-engineer. But I think that in Cakewalk, we were really good on like having everybody in the company exactly the same vision, including the engineering team. So we know that the first thing that we have to do is like have like a solid product, but we don't need to over-engineer. We don't need to go for, like a super complex microservice architecture that is super nice, but right now with the current situation doesn't bring much value. It's something that in the future, if we need it, we can think about it. And of course, when designing the solution, we are already thinking on keeping like the domains and the subdomains completely isolated. So if we need to extract them, we can do it. But at the same time, we are not over-engineering. It's like, okay, let's keep it simple. It will become complex when it's needed, and everybody's aligned with the same vision.
So meaning having a certain visibility on what could happen, but at the same time having this alignment and making sure that it's simple. And does that mean that your development team needs to be very user-centric and very product-driven, or how do you get the development team to think like that, right? How do you think you get a development team to think in P&L and we need to make money, we need to get users, we need to ship?
Yeah. I think that one of the core points for that is the communication, especially being on remote company as we are. So our trend is to over communicate a bit, and our CEO and the CPO are constantly sharing like which are the goals, what we are achieving, how the customer calls are going, and we invite developers to join them and see how they are going on, etc., etc. And right now, with the current size, it's not that difficult. I think that everybody is really involved, and everybody in the engineering team have like a good understanding of which are the main pains of the users, and that this is the main thing that we have to solve. At the end, there are not that many focus on sales or the revenue or the number of users that we have. They are more focused on making sure that the customers we have like the best experience possible. And also we have recordings, we have like a lot of tooling that we share with the developers, and they can see, okay, they understand perfectly, okay, what is important. And then once that you manage to have this, the rest of the numbers are supposed to come automatically, right? If you build a solid product and the experience for the users is good, then the rest of the metrics will come.
Okay, so meaning you're in the lucky situation that the development team also is interested in it, but it's really about sharing the recordings and taking the development team with you with the journey on the product side, right? Understanding the user, potentially listening into interviews, and get everyone on board.
Actually, if I can say something about it, it's I think that also this is thanks to Jill, our CPO, because he usually have these user interviews to understand the main problems. Actually, once that they are already using the product, we continue having user interviews to see what is working, what is not, what is like not that smooth, etc., etc. And then he comes to the engineering team with not with solutions, maybe with some proposals, but more with open questions. And he loves to involve the engineering team to think about solutions, always think out of the box. So the developers feel that they are also owners of the product, and yeah, with this spirit, then it's easier to keep this, I would say, this way of working.
Meaning that helps you as well to define the new features with everyone on board, so that you get potentially the best solution for the user, but also technically the best solution to ship it in time and quick enough.
Actually, this is a really good point, and obviously this is something that is easier to do when you have a small organization. But yeah, definitely when we are talking about, as we don't have like a closed solution, in our refinements we're always discussing like, okay, this is going to be complex because of this and this and this, but this alternative could be way faster and maybe it's good enough, and then at the end the product team has the last word. But they are super open, and usually we always, if there are two ways of doing something and the impact is pretty similar, we go for the one that is faster for development, and this helps us to ship new features faster.
Cool, but so a really nice two-way conversation about the product development, and really making the development team also own the product. That's really sweet, because I think this is probably the question that you hear the most often for young companies. How do you ship fast, and how do you make sure this happens? Now, we spoke a bit about that, but there comes always the flip side, and that is, how do you make sure that quality still works out and it's scalable, that you don't end up having tech debt, endless tech debt?
Okay, that's a super nice question. Usually in startups, you need, even in big companies, sometimes you have to cut corners. And the first thing is that, okay, everybody needs to understand that sometimes we have to cut corners. Once that everybody assumes this, then we have to be smart deciding which corners we are going to cut. So we actually have like a metric that one of the engineers, Elias, always says, like, okay, if you have technical debt in a component, or in a section that you can rewrite in 1 day or 2, it's okay, leave it. You don't need to refactor it, because it's easy to, it's not going to impact new developments. It's something like it's encapsulated. Maybe it's not the best implementation, but it's encapsulated and it's easy to fix. So it's okay. When you have problems in your design because the software evolves and sometimes the initial design is not good enough for the new features that you're introducing, and then you have two options, like do it properly, spending more time and doing some refactor, or hacking and cutting corners. There, usually we decide to, okay, let's do the refactor, because if we don't do it now, we are going to build a lot of stuff on top of that, and then you have a problem because you cannot clean it. So it's like, okay, we cut corners, but we are smart deciding which corners we cut.
Interesting, because I think there's also this methodology of never refactor when you're young.
Well, well, I think that is not. I mean, I've been in many companies and I've seen what technical debt can be for a company. That is overkilling. So for me, it's important to feel, I mean, the developer experience is key. So if you have engineers that are already feeling that it's a pain to add code in certain section of the code, you don't have to wait, because now it's cheap to refactor it and improve this experience. If you don't do it, it will become, maybe not in 1 year or 2, but in 3-4 years, you are going to end up in a position that you need to continue moving fast and you can't. So it's like, it's a difficult balance that you have to find there.
Okay. So you need to be smart about it, but you would say definitely refactor before it becomes a big show eventually.
Yeah. I think so. Because right now the refactors are not that expensive. It's like, if you keep everything clean and then there is something that is slightly dirty, but can have impact in other parts, cleaning this thing is not like a huge investment right now. So it's good to do it now, and it doesn't impact a lot in the times shipping new features.
And how do you structure your tech team? How many people are you right now?
We are 7 engineers. We have one front-ender, 2 back-enders, 3 full stack, and 1 DevOps.
Mm-hmm.
And right now we have 1 single team. In the future, we already know how we are going to split it once that we grow and we add more teams. But right now, it's like everybody working under the same team. Yeah.
And what do you do with testing? Any automated or manual tester as well?
We have, actually, it's pretty cool. In the backend, we have integration tests or end-to-end tests, but for the backend, let's say. So we create, the process is pretty cool. We create an empty database, and then every single test does the setup of the database. We have helpers that do it like really, really quickly with a couple of lines. Set up the initial state. We make the API request that we want to test, and then we check that the response is the expected one and the database result is the expected one. So this is the way we are testing the backend, and we have like a super nice suite. We try to have we cover all the endpoints, let's say, that are used from the UI. We have some endpoints that we are not trying to have like a 100% coverage because that could be like a huge investment, but every single endpoint that is used from the front end has at least some, like the happy path and a couple of edge cases covered with tests. And in the front end, that is usually one of the most complex things. We are testing components, like high-level components, and they have dependencies with APIs, but we have implemented a recorder. So basically, when you implement the very first time the test, you run it, and it's going to make real requests to the API, and then stores the responses as mocks, and then from that point, they run without making requests to the API. And with that, we have like a really good development experience, really fast development of the test. And this is basically the main testing that we are doing with that. And then we have some manual testing, of course, by the product manager and everything. But the core of our testing are these 2 parts.
Really nice. But that means as well you manage to keep the quality high with that. You keep your team away from endless production bug fixing, but finding it early enough.
Yeah, actually, for instance, for the API, I can tell you my experience is that right now it's faster to write the test and see that it works than running in local and make the request with Postman. So it's easier to write the test to see that the endpoint is doing what you expect. And this is, I think that I already talked about that, but this is the core of the spirit of our engineering team is the developer experience. It should be super easy to add tests, and they should really help you, and then everybody's going to use them. So it's like, nice. And the same happens with the bug fixing. It's not like, okay, you can't, it's a disaster if you ship a bug. What we are doing is have like a huge visibility in production. We are using mainly Sentry for that gives you like a lot of information in real time whenever it goes wrong. And then you can fix the things. You have all the information to reproduce the error in local. And then usually, right now, fixing a bug is just a matter of 1 or 2 hours in most of the cases. Nice. Now it's easy because the product is small, but the goal is to keep that. Exactly.
Yeah. That leads me automatically to the next question, that is scaling the team further. And I guess it sounds to me like you build a little dream castle for developers so that you can scale it further.
Yeah, there are a lot of challenges scaling up. I've seen it so many times, depending on the way. I think that if you have like a scaling with a natural rhythm, you don't make it artificial. Like you grow just because of the sake of growing. It's doable, but you need to be really smart on finding the right people for the team. I think that it's not only about the skills, but also that there is like a really good fit and that the people is going to have like a nice spirit and vibe and working together with communication. So there are many things that you need to have like a really good recruitment process where you find the right people to join. So this is the first part, like finding the right people to scale. And then you need to do it in a rhythm where the developers can, let's say, bring or welcome these new engineers in a healthy way, spending time with them and, with a proper onboarding experience. When you grow too fast, people usually is lost. It's like, okay, I don't have anything to do. The other developers doesn't have time for me. We want to avoid that. We want to grow in a rhythm that the rest of the development team can go with it, let's say, and put some love, make sure that everybody feels welcome and understand what to do. And then, of course, you need to adapt also your structure. The bigger you are, the more structure you need. And this is also challenging because you want to have teams that are more or less autonomous. There is always dependencies between teams, but for me, what I want to try whenever we continue growing is like create areas where the team that is working in this area can ship autonomously new features. Doesn't have like a lot of dependencies with other teams that make everything like bureaucratic, create tension between teams, and this is not what we want. So it's like it's not always easy, but this is my main goal in terms of structure.
Really nice. Sounds very interesting, and I'm very excited to see your journey with Cakewalk. And thank you so much for all of the insights. Has been really great.
Super
before
nice.
we wrap up, do you have any kind of recommendation for book, webinar, podcast, or something alike that people should listen, hear, read into?
Good. So yeah, I think that related to the topic about like growing and having the chance to get more responsibilities in the management side, there is like a super nice book that is named The Manager's Path, that is written by Camille. I don't remember the surname. I can search it later.
We'll put it in the show notes, no worries.
Exactly. Nice. I can share the link afterwards. And it's a really good book for people who wants to start thinking about the management path and to understand not only the first step, that is when you become maybe a team lead of a small team, but also what is coming afterwards. So it's really nice. And also for every single engineer who wants to know what to expect from the managers, because sometimes you have a manager and you don't know what to what to expect from him, and if he's doing everything that he's supposed to do, etc., etc. So this is, I like this book a lot. It's fully recommended.
Very good. Really nice. Definitely put it in the show notes, and I will read it myself. I'm just creating my read list at the moment, so thank you very much. Gonzalo, really big thank you. That has been super insightful. Really great having you as a guest, and I hope to have you at some point again as a guest.
For sure.
And that you can tell us a bit about the story and how everything went.
Thank you for having me.
Then thank you also as well for all the listeners of today's Top Tech Leaders podcast. If you like it, please subscribe to the channel, leave some feedback, give us 5 stars so that we rank better. And give us feedback if you have any questions, ideas, or needs. So until next time, keep coding, keep leading.
Thank you, Marc. Bye-bye.
Bye.